and I'm trying to make sure I was reading, like, maybe this is a story that I was looking for the date, like maybe this was old or something. But like last week, they beat up the track team. They had to take 4 of the track team members to the hospital in Brooklyn.
Man,
like that?
It's just like the Hatfields and the McCoys, the track team and the basketball team. that rivalry goes back generations.
For real?
No.
No.
I'm just saying, where do the track team and basketball team even come into contact with one another?
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what could 6'9" guys and 5'7" guys be beefing about to where 4 track guys end up in the hospital? Luckily, none of them were hurt seriously. They arrested
because they were fighting basketball players. And
so you're saying the
we
track,
all know that
they got
not.
beat down, basically, if they ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, 4
Track
of
lost,
them had to
okay.
go be taken to the hospital.
Wow.
I guess they weren't sprinters. Because before I just take the beat down,
I would
maybe I'd use some of that track skill.
Maybe they were distance runners.
Maybe.
Because
Even still, they could have at least tried to run away.
So, for the basketball members have been arrested on 3rd-degree assault.
Wow.
I don't know what that
They don't
really
play that in Long
means.
Island, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know what's the difference between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd assault.
I think a 1st-degree assault is assaulting someone with the intention of harming them, like going straight to wherever they are and harming them.
Kind of like premeditated assault?
Right.
Okay.
A 3rd-degree assault is we're sitting around, you say something about, I bet you I can run faster than you, and then you push my buddy, and then in a scuffle, I end up knocking out 4 of your friends.
Here,
Right.
This is
That's
Big
like
Kenny.
a 3rd degree.
I'm not sure, but I think, well, in Code 593 of the Georgia law, you know exactly. That's
Hey,
why
listen,
he goes to you all the time. I don't know
I'm
why
just
you
saying,
front, Kenny.
I can't be too specific on assaults because there are still some pending charges.
But the thing
other
that gets
cases.
me on the story, though, is all 4 of you lost. You know what I mean? You figure
Not one dude held it down for the track team. Like, yeah,
You figure the guy that was fighting the point
the
guard,
shot putter could have at least.
Yeah, he was going to
Yeah.
beat the point guard.
At least.
the guy that ended up with the power forward or the center, you figure, okay.
You might take a loss.
But
yeah.
4 fights and nobody won, that doesn't really hold good for your track season.
Yeah,
I mean-
guess. but they're runners, not fighters. So.
Listen here. I've Googled. This is why my computer is important. 1st-degree assault is defined as attempting to kill or knowingly cause or attempting to cause physical injury to another person.
But Kenny was right.
2nd-degree assault is defined as attempting to kill or knowingly causing or attempting to cause serious physical injury to another person under the influence of like being, a passion, like, oh, you got me caught out there. I'm all, other than I'm just going to beat you down.
Like 2nd-degree
Yes,
murder.
You
but
told me
hurt
you
my
were
feelings,
single.
right? I'm passionate. And 3rd-degree is attempting to cause or recklessly cause physical injury to another person. You were absolutely right.
You were right, Big
Hey,
Kenny.
thank
Ding,
you.
ding, 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 ding.
Any more
ding,
crime
ding.
questions? just ask Big Kenny.
I love it. That is so
Our
phenomenal.
crime aficionado.
Yeah,
Big
In
Kenny.
layman terms, I love it.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
was
you-
right
I gotta-
on
He
point.
was right
though.
on point.
I have
for
to make
sure.
it simple for our listeners. They need to understand that if you're going to grab somebody, exactly how you need to do that so you can avoid getting the most serious charges.
Mm-hmm.
What were they fighting about? What was it about?
They don't have in the story
Just-
what they.
Just
No.
reckless
That's what I'm trying to figure out. College
athlete on-
students
Just
and-
reckless athlete on athlete
Right.
violence.
Usually at college, you might have a little beef between like the football team and a frat.
Right, yeah.
But I've never heard the basketball. I didn't even know they knew each other. But there you go. That's the kind of week it was in sports. Sit back, relax. We got a lot to talk about. NFL, golf. My boy Jamal Lewis is supposed to come through a little later, so hopefully he'll walk through the door in a minute. We'll be back right after this with more of the Sports Jock Show.
888-926-7562.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
In times like these, strangers at your door should be treated cautiously. But unwelcome strangers in your home can be your worst nightmare. Home invasion is a form of armed robbery where criminals break into homes through unlocked or open doors and windows. They even trick people into opening their doors to confront victims face to face. They can be after money and valuables, threaten personal assault, or take members of the family captive. But you can be proactive against these disturbing attacks. Learn how to protect yourself against home invasions. Never open the door to strangers. Secure your home with high-security locks and quality door and window hardware. Consider a home security system and even a dog. It's also a good idea to devise an action plan for your family in case intruders ever do enter your home. To learn more about how to keep your home safe from intruders, visit ncpc.org. That's ncpc.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
When crime prevention is your life, your days don't stay quiet for long. What did I tell you? My name? McGruff the Crime Dog. I wear a trench coat.
McGruff, I need help.
That was a concerned citizen. And boy, did she sound concerned.
I'm very concerned.
What did I tell you?
Someone took out a loan in my name. They're pretending to be me and spending my money. I can't understand.
It's called
how
identity
this can
theft,
happen.
and it's growing fast. Safeguard your personal information, like your Social Security, credit card, or bank account numbers. On the phone, online, even around the house, because half of identity theft occurs by someone you think you know. Learn more from the National Crime Prevention Council at ncpc.org. Take it from McGruff. Keep your identity to yourself and take a bite out of crime.
A message from this station, the U.S. Department of Justice, Crime Prevention Coalition of America, and the National Crime Prevention Council.
And now, back to the sports jock, Wayne Gandy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Finzel Burgundy, Obama Luther King Jr. Jackson 5 the First. And you're tuned in to the Sports Jock Show with my man, Wayne Gandy. Wayne Genzel for the Finzel. You dig? Fizzle, oh boy.
Like to be on Cinemax movie. Thought my boo bigger than a bigger air. Who he's not, I smoke. Strong that pie.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. Before we get on this week's Week 3 NFL action, which was great yesterday, and there were some great college games on Saturday. We're going to talk about that in this hour. But I wanted to talk to something about to you two. Talk to you about Chicago. And I don't want you to, Big Kenny, I don't, no computers, no phone. I just want you to answer these questions. Basically, when I ask them, it's to both of you. Both of you are from Chicago. That's why I knew I could just bring this to you, and both of you probably have deep feelings on this. It is the Chicago violence. The NBA players led by Isaiah Thomas last week had a peace basketball tournament for some of the gangs up there. In August, they were reporting that there were 57 homicides. In this month, with even a week to go, there was 14 homicides. Most of these homicides have occurred on the south side of Chicago. It's up 30% from 2011, the homicide rate already in Chicago. Players like Isaiah Thomas, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Taj Gibson, Quentin Richardson, who said, I think Q is from the south side of Chicago, and even defensive lineman Jamarcus Webb came out in support. They broke up the teams basically without saying it, kind of in the gang that you follow. I don't know much about Chicago other than you're known for your deep dish pizza, your hot dog,
popcorn.
your hot dog with a pickle on it.
That's actually a pepper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it does have a pickle to cut.
It does,
right,
but the pepper
okay.
is the thing.
Oh, okay. Well, we Southern, we put a little relish,
Right.
But this is a big thing. We were talking about the school district being in its issues a couple of weeks ago. So I just wanted to bring to you two, basically, when you live there, and if you don't want to answer the question, I just want you to be candid. How did gang violence, Lady T, first, I'll go to you first as the lady, affects you when you were there?
It's serious. And as a chick, though, I got a way, out of it worse than guys are. I mean, you don't have to necessarily be as affected as a girl. At least that was my experience. But it was very serious, even from when I was in grammar school.
And you're from the South Side.
And I'm from the South Side. And, it's really, really sad at the end of the day because it's nonsense. But you can't avoid it. And it trickles over into everywhere. I mean, it used to be a thing where if you just went into certain neighborhoods on certain blocks, but now it started to expand that there's nowhere to hide. And I absolutely refused to go back to live there once I went to college. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. When we go visit home, you feel it. It is so serious. You know that you can become a victim no matter what you try to avoid, because the violence is so senseless that it's not even necessarily just the person on person. You can just catch a bullet anywhere. Getting gas, going to the corner store. It is absolutely sad. And I don't know what they can do about it, but I do like the fact that they're trying to get the basketball players and people of influence for these young folk to try to say or do something about it.
And it kind of took a page from back in the 90s when out in L.A., they got a lot of celebrities and ball players to come out and try to help with the gang violence there. Big Kenny, I know you probably have a lot to say on this as a male.
He may have some gang tats. Let me
as a man and from there, South Side as well, how is it growing up as a young man with, I don't know if you were in a gang or not, but in those surroundings?
In most situations with men who are involved in gangs, I was in a gang, and once you're in a gang and identified as one of those gang people, once you go back, I mean, you still have your ties. You know what I mean? There's no way to really officially separate yourself from it and not face some sort of reprisal or a tarnished image in your community. And having a tarnished image in your community can be dangerous, as you just said, that this is the most dangerous city in the world. And a lot of times men involved in gangs, young men involved in gangs, ally themselves with the gang from their neighborhood, because if you're not with them, you're against them. And then you go outside the neighborhood and everybody else is against you. So you need somebody to ally with. You're tired of running. You're tired of fighting every day. And eventually it's a matter of protection. Some people get into it for the male influence or the role models because they don't have that at home. That wasn't my case. It was just this is your block and you ride for this side, period. Or you're against us. But to blame it all on the South Side, Chicago's history is littered with violence. The politics, we just had a teacher strike where that's basically a bully move. We'll stop teaching these kids or you'll give us something that we want. And that's been from the beginning, since the Chicago fire. We've had violence. The police are ultra violent with the citizens. The mobs, the unions have been violent. Anything that you want to get moved in Chicago, there's going to be some violence involved. It's part of the DNA. And so now a lot of it's compartmentalized on the South Side. And I think that most of that violence is perpetuated by a single group of people, if not certain individuals. I mean, everybody's trying to prove a point.
And just so you know, they didn't say that South Side was like the full cause. Right. They just said most of the homicides had just so far this year had occurred there, and that's where they went and held the tournament. It was called the Peace Basketball Tournament. One of the priests or bishops, he has reached out to Isaiah. Most of these men that are on the list, either to play for the Bulls, are from that area.
Right.
Quentin Richardson, who plays for the Magic, he actually said that he has lost two brothers to the violence, and I think Q might be 35.
Right.
So he's saying in that short period of his life, two brothers have passed from that, and I just didn't want this to be, how some stories, it gets 3 minutes. Right. And I thought this was something like, okay, when you start talking about death in sports, that should get a little more coverage than just that little 3-minute sound bite. We'll cover a guy that caught a Super Bowl touchdown for an hour, but we'll skip right over this. I guess what I would ask you also, Lady T, as a female, What's the female gang situation in Chicago? Was there one?
Yeah, there was. I mean, you could decide to be down too. I mean, to me, it seemed like you had more of a choice being a girl versus a guy because you had to choose as a guy. As a girl, you can almost avoid it. But what you'll find is that there's a lot of times there was just nothing to do and you just hung with your crew. And if your crew rolled a certain way, then you just rolled with them. So sometimes the girls, and this is back in the day because I'm not considering what it is like now because I absolutely have removed myself 1,000% from Chicago. But back in the day, it used to be a thing where, you could just be associated with it because that's who you rolled with, or you could separate yourself from it. But there were girls who rolled just as hard and just as fierce as the dudes, and they would, cut school and go fight up at the Dan Ryan station, and they would rock their colors. I mean, you were wearing either blue or black, or you were wearing red and black. And they literally would, go to fight just like the dudes did. And there was violence everywhere. And if you were in a gang as a girl, you had the same things to do violently, aggressively as the guys did. And the saddest thing about it is this has been going on for a long, long, long time. Like, this isn't new news, technically. I mean, the West Side used to be the worst side. Now everybody's looking at the South Side. But it's all been there all my life that I can attest to. So for me and Kenny, we look up like, why y'all making a big deal out of it now?
I think Big Kenny.
And difference now too is the advent of more powerful weapons and the money from illegal proceeds like drugs and all of the other scams that they're in. A lot of organized crime people are finding young gang members and putting them, giving them the newest weapons and having them fight for these millions and millions of dollars that you can make in the streets. So once the money increases, of course, the violence is going to increase because now the territory is more valuable.
And the thing I think, Lady T, and I'm just saying, when you look at it, in the month of August, 31 days in August, 31 days, 57 homicides in one city, almost 2 a day. That will draw a little attention. Maybe one a day. One a day. The camera stays over here. 2 a day, and you realize like almost 60 people died.
But what they're not paying, what they're waiting for is for it to exacerbate to that, to that height. I mean, there was a time in the 90s. Remember when they killed somebody every day in one housing project building in Cabrini Green, and that's when Cabrini Green's name got to be so popular. So
and those are the confirmed homicides. I mean, I'm sure in that 30-day span, a couple cats came up missing. They just don't know where they are.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
So,
but it's bad.
It's bad, man.
Well,
it's really bad.
Well, if you get a chance, check it out. It was about a 4-minute thing on one of the stations, and I guess what some of the players seemed touched to be there. And the kids that they did interview, most of them were saying that it was great to see people from television without having to buy a ticket. Like they didn't, when you're on TV, it seems like you're far away. Even though Bulls Arena is right down the road, you think you're worlds away. But these guys did take the time, so I hope this does
continue.
And they said at least for a day.
Yeah,
nobody got killed. So
and that's progress.
Right.
In Chicago, it's killed. Don't worry about it. It's killed.
Well, the producer get us on me for saying killed.
But you're right.
So he
Chicago
got killed.
It's killed.
Did you get that? We'll be right back.
Well, today's topic, self-destruction. It really ain't the rap audience that's bugging. It's one or two suckers, ignorant brothers, trying to rob and steal.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Honey, I'm home. I've got a surprise for you.
Get that filthy, disgusting tire out of my living room. You're on my favorite rug.
Calm down. You're gonna love this.
What? Whoa. The goldfish bowl.
I won't run over them. Relax.
You roll that tire right back out of here.
Relax. It's all part of my master plan to save us money.
This is not going to be our coffee table. Don't even think about putting a piece of glass on top.
No, honey. This is a reminder to keep our tires properly inflated so we can save money on gas.
Can't we just tie a string around our fingers?
Sweetie, properly inflated tires could save us more money at the pump than a week's worth of gas.
You're getting tire tracks on my love seat.
Exactly. To remind us that we love saving gas with properly inflated tires.
What's wrong with the sticky note on the dashboard?
Discover smarter ways to save hundreds of dollars on gas and help the environment, too, at the Alliance to Save Energy's website, drivesmarterchallenge.org.
Hey, let's put the sticky note on the tire.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette.
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
And another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
I'm Ed Smart, father of a child who was abducted.
I'm John Walsh. Like Ed, I also know the terror of having a child who was kidnapped. But now we have wonderful technology to aid in this battle.
It's called the Amber Alert. It's an early notification system to the public when every second counts.
Amber Alert is a partnership. We want to thank you, the public, broadcasters, transportation, and law enforcement. Amber Alert really works.
And now, back to the sports jock, Wayne Gandy.
Yeah. And you say Shot City, Shot City, Shot City.
I'm coming home again. Do you think about me now and then?
Yeah.
Do you think about me now and then?
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. NFL action week 3 yesterday. Well, you can't even just say yesterday now because you got to include Thursday. So Thursday night, there was a game yesterday. The other games tonight. The Packers take on Seattle for you diehard football fans. I don't think there's a lot of Seattle fans
I'm confused.
spread around the country, but
I'm confused.
Go ahead.
Jock. I mean, really, when did football start happening 5 days a week?
It's not 5. It's 4.
It's close.
It's 4.
Any minute now, y'all gonna pick up another day. I'm really.
It's gonna be 5.
It wasn't like this, right?
It's gonna be by November. By Thanksgiving, it's gonna be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yay!
All you're gonna have your man for is Tuesday and Wednesday.
Good goobly goo.
Yeah. Chicken wing sales are gonna go up. You best believe that. So you might want to buy some stock in chicken wings.
Just when I think I'm getting almost through the season.
But something I know we hit on last week, we wanted to hit on again, and we're going to hit on probably because it's always going to be a story this whole season. Last week, if you watched the Falcon-Bronco game, it took an eternity to play. It came on at 8:30. It went off about 1 o'clock in the morning. Most people even missed Peyton coming back to try to win the game because it went so long. I know the first quarter took at least an hour and a half to play. The first half took 2 hours to play, which is crazy.
Why is that, Sports Jock?
Well, first of all, Steve Young, the great quarterback for the 49ers, he was just venting last week after the game, and I wanted people – the video is also on our website, thesportsjock.com, but I wanted you two to hear what Steve Young had to say about the replacement refs.
How do I start here? I can say this because the league officials have gone to sleep. So let me just go right at this. There's a lot of people in the league that would rather break the union. There's a lot of people that don't feel like officiating is on-field personnel. They feel like it's a commodity. But more importantly, everything about the NFL now, it's inelastic for demand. There's nothing that they can do to hurt the demand for the game. So the bottom line is they don't care. Player safety doesn't matter in this case. Bring the Division 3 officials doesn't matter. Because in the end, you're still going to watch the game. We're going to all complain and moan, gripe and say there's all this problems. All the coaches will say, the players say it. Doesn't matter. So just go ahead, gripe all you want. I'm going to rest. Let them eat cake.
But we're talking about the marquee game of every
doesn't matter.
Monday night football.
You're trying to get us into discussion.
Why doesn't it matter? Why does it not matter?
Because it's inelastic. There's nothing that changes the demand for the NFL. So they want to break the union, or they want to send a message to them. They don't care about player safety in the case of bringing Division III officials on because it doesn't affect the desire for the game. If it affected the desire for the game, they'd come up for the few $1 million.
Steve Young, after last week's game, I like how he said, it doesn't matter what I say right now because the officials are asleep.
Yeah.
That's how late the game went off. Big Kenny, I know you love football. It's the NFL, basically, like Steve said. It's so big now. It really doesn't matter. Like, we haven't stopped watching because they replaced the refs. I mean, this is what we still do. And some of the intrigue is that the refs are out there now.
And if your team is really kind of on like the fence of being a bum team or almost won, you can now kind of blame it on the refs and go, oh, we should have had that one, but the blown call and if it weren't what Steve Young is saying, he's saying basically that the NFL has such a following that regardless of what you do, nobody will stop watching the game. If that were not the case, the NFL makes enough money that they could pony up a couple, $2-3 million for these officials. I mean, and you've seen the play. Mm-hmm. These officials, we could do that. Mm-hmm. And I've never officiated any kind of game. And I could get out there and do about as good as some of these guys are doing.
Right.
No, but when Lady T's been bringing this up in the last 2 weeks, y'all want to shut me down and say it's not important. And I think that really maybe the hype is that they're getting so many people looking to pay attention to what the refs are. I mean, there might be some method to the madness behind this, like you said. Because I can't wait to see what everybody's scores were from the teams that they picked last week, because I'm sure they changed with the some of this refereeing out here.
But the thing that I like is that it's not that they're calling bad calls for one team. It's across the board now. So when you come to complain, the other team, see, bad refereeing to me is when you're calling it one way.
Sure.
They're calling it both ways. They messing up on this side and that side. And I tend to agree with Big Kenny. Now you're just being able to really believe your excuse of why you're losing. Yeah. It was that. No, you really lost the game. Yeah, there might be one game today that was screwed up over a call. And you're changing. They're making these refs. The public is making them mess up a lot of these games because they're listening. Because remember, they were not in that little tunnel where they didn't listen to the public. They're going home like, well, I'll call that next week. And you could see that yesterday, like the things they didn't call the week before. Because if you look at it, they haven't really thrown any more penalties than last year's ref. And a lot of the players have to stop arguing with these referees. That's what's making the game longer. But because as a ref, everybody think they're a ref now.
But as a ref, you got to hold up to your call. If you make the call, you're the ref. Hold up to it.
Well, they're not used to Ray Lewis yelling in their ear, I guess. We'll be back.
Belichick snatching on you.
Right after this.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
I'm Ed Smart, father of a child who was abducted.
I'm John Walsh. Like Ed, I also know the terror of having a child who was kidnapped. But now we have wonderful technology to aid in this battle.
It's called the Amber Alert. It's an early notification system to the public when every second counts.
Amber Alert is a partnership. We want to thank you, the public, broadcasters, transportation, and law enforcement. Amber Alert really works.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette.
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
And another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
Look around you. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. faces hunger. It's not always easy to see the signs, but in this land of plenty, there are kids who don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Share Our Strength and take the pledge to end childhood hunger here in America by 2015. Learn how at NoKidHungry.org. Their next meal could come from you.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock Wayne Gandy. Week 3 is almost in the book. Tonight, 8:30, Monday Night Football. Green Bay is out in Seattle, taking on the Seahawks. Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully they can make this game exciting. The Seahawks do seem like they are very competitive now. They have the rookie quarterback, Russell Wilson, trying to prove that he belongs in the NFL. Yesterday, we're going to start at the top real quick. The Saints now are 0-3.
0-3.
That's probably the biggest story coming out of the weekend, more than any team being 3-0. The Saints are 0-3. As you know, they've been through Bountygate. Sean Payton has been suspended for the year. Their linebacker, Jonathan Vilma, is still protesting his court case. He can't even play for another couple of weeks. The Chiefs, 27-24 in overtime. But they can cry all they want. If you can't stop the run game, Big Kenny, the running back for the Chiefs, Charles, 233 yards rushing. I mean, I don't care who got suspended. If you can't stop the run, 33 carries. The Saints can't stop the run. They didn't stop the Panthers running the ball. They didn't stop the 49ers running the ball.
And it's not like Roger Goodell was on the field trying to stop anybody. It's not like anybody's lawyer was down there getting run over. It's not like it was any of the, you are on the field, and regardless of everything that happened in the offseason, it's game time now, and the Saints just aren't getting it done.
Yes,
so
it's the
don't
play.
Don't blame it on anything but your effort. And that's the thing with the Saints. Maybe everybody's gotten past that point where they're nervous coming to play them. Maybe they don't have any fear of them anymore. And they're manning up and taking it to the Saints, and the Saints aren't getting up off the ground.
And 0-2 at home, which that's kind of how they have been successful these past years, is that they have been winning at home. They're 0-2 at home. Teams, I think, have really realized we can run against you. We don't have to sit here and throw the ball all day and think we have to get in a scoring match. Drew Brees, I don't know if that $100 million is holding him down, but he doesn't seem to be able to find the targets, and they just seem total. This is a real 0-3 team, Lady T. I know you want to say the referees, but they're getting beat. This is not one of those the call went the wrong way. This is you didn't stop the run. When a man can run for that many yards, if you look through history, you don't really get 200-yard rushing days. And you're talking about the Chiefs. Matt Castle and the boys have gone into the Superdome.
Now, remind me how how they did in the preseason.
Who is that?
Drew Brees and his boys. How did they do in the preseason?
You would stump. If you talk about preseason football, you stump
I was going to say,
do
they have preseason football really that exists?
I
mean, didn't y'all have a couple of games to play before the regular season?
Yeah, there's a preseason. I didn't watch it.
Okay. Because that's when everybody was making all their calls and all that. I just remember everybody going off, oh, yeah, look at this, look at that. And I kept saying, it's just the preseason.
It's just the
And
preseason.
Everything is going to change. So I was asking y'all, now y'all got amnesia.
No, I don't watch. It's been, you can go back and listen to my tapes. I don't.
You ain't watching
I don't watch preseason football at all.
Maybe I was just reading the headlines from the preseason.
In bigger news, I guess here, because the Falcon fans love to hear that the Saints are 0-3. Our Falcons are 3-0. I think they shocked a lot of people. I took the Falcons on my sheet. I thought it would be a closer game, and it turned out to be Falcons going out to the Chargers. They making my boy Takia look a little old. I try to keep it. I'll get on anyone. Couldn't stop Michael Turner late. They couldn't stop Tony Gonzalez at all. I mean, he was really the person who got everything going, even at the ripe age of 37 years old, making plays down the field, Tony Gonzalez. And Matt Ryan is looking like MVP, at least through the first 3 weeks. I think if we had to pick an MVP in the league, it would be Matt Ryan. Big Kenny, can this continue with the Falcons?
I think that the Falcons yesterday made a stronger statement than they did on Monday night against Denver. Mm-hmm. They came out really strong against Denver and did well, and then started to fizzle. And had Peyton been given another minute, because it doesn't take long, another minute, 30 seconds, another, 2 minutes, he may have turned the tide of that game completely. Yesterday they came out with San Diego and took the lead and made it very apparent we're not about to give it back. The defense stepped up, not only making really good plays, but putting some wood on them.
They're calling themselves the Angry Birds.
The Angry Birds. Because I saw a couple of licks like, like when did they start doing that on defense? And I was impressed.
And the one thing that I always said about them, they were going to start being the dominant team when they started getting some plays made by the middle of the defense. And when I say middle of the defense, the middle linebacker and the two safeties. Now with Deku, William Moore back there, the Falcons in 3 games have at least about 8 interceptions. Now we look like a team. These, even when we were winning those 12-4 seasons, 11-5, we were not getting any plays in the middle of the defense, which means that we were easy to score on. Now these guys are stepping up, making plays and making great plays, great catches, great interceptions. And for all you people out there that felt like the police officer could have let Michael Turner go, because I was last week after he was, and I was like, well, it was a 65 zone. If he was going 80, the guy probably been like, okay, Mike, slow down. Hey, great game. 85, he would have gave him the little warning certificate. 97 in a 65.
You blew it.
Yeah, I can't hold that one off.
I think he should have been arrested for coming from Magic City and not having a stripper in the car with him. You know what I mean? He was totally alone. Who does that?
I think he was trying to get back home to his live-in before the sun came up.
Well, Sports Jock, I looked up the numbers. The Saints sucked in preseason too. So
she's still on that preseason.
My theory is blown. I'm just gonna say, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I looked it up, and they didn't. Yeah, they sucked in too.
We'll be back with Mike Vick and the Eat Up the Tweety Birds. We'll be right back after this.
Skating down old net, tucked and lean. I split your spleen. As a matter of fact, I split your team. No blood on the sneaks. Gotta keep it so my kicks is clean. I get the clean.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gantt.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette.
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
And another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
Look around you. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. faces hunger. It's not always easy to see the signs, but in this land of plenty, there are kids who don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Share Our Strength and take the pledge to end childhood hunger here in America by 2015. Learn how at NoKidHungry.org. Their next meal could come from you.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. We're in the NFL scoreboard talking about Week 3's action yesterday. Real quickly, the Jags, Blaine Gabbert beat Andrew Luck 22-17 in Indy. Great play at the end, even though I didn't really watch for about 5 seconds of that game, but that was a great pass to come back with only 20, 30 seconds left in the game by Jacksonville. As I said earlier, the Packers do play the Seahawks tonight on Monday night. Up in Philadelphia, the Tweety Birds went out to Arizona. I'm just going to go on record. It's week 3. 3 more weeks of the pounding, Mike, and that's going to be the season for you. Mike Vick taking tremendous punishment yesterday by the Cardinals. And I keep trying to get people to understand Michael Vick, as great of an athlete that he is, he's not a huge man. He stands at maybe 5'11", possibly 6 feet, about 205. And the defenses know that. And you can tell when they fall on him, they let all of it fall on him. And he gets up slower and slower. And for you people that out there run away from him, Mike. Mike is 32 now.
Yeah.
Ain't going to be a lot of running away from people.
And then, the defense ain't holding up, and they ask me, Mike, why you not running? And I'll be like, and sometimes, because, he sounds like he's been falling on a lot.
I was going to say he sounds like a
falling
boxer.
on him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's sounding punch drunk a lot of times.
He's throwing interceptions. They knocked one ball right before half. The defensive end, Washington, hit Mike, knocked the ball up. The safety picked it up, ran it back like 97 yards. Kevin Cobb was enjoying it because he used to be in a Philly uniform, and basically they picked Mike to lead the Eagles over him, shipped him out to Arizona. And Arizona is trying to prove us all wrong. Like, they are a legit team. They do play fast on defense. That was very impressive. I just don't think they have the offensive line and running back to really keep this up. But at least for now, they've beat the Patriots and the Eagles back-to-back, which is a big accomplishment because both of those teams were in Super Bowl talk, at least at the beginning of the season. Your Bears, Big Kenny, beat up on the Rams. That's all we need to say about that. 23-6. So Jay Cutler got him a win.
Yeah, Jay, he was good. Yeah, he did good.
And a great game, Detroit, Tennessee. Lots of points, overtime games, like 4 overtime games yesterday.
Right.
And the games do take long. I mean, they came on at 1, didn't go off to like 5. So I don't know whether it's the referees, but I do know one thing: these teams are throwing a lot. ADT, and I know maybe when you're 50, you become a little league football coach. But in a football game, you try to run about 70 plays. You hope to run 70 plays. When you have a good offense, you throw about 35. You run like 35. You see some of these games, and we'll talk about some like Peyton Manning later. These guys are throwing the ball like 50 times. Now you got to realize, like Mike Vick was like 17 for 40. That means 20 times there were incomplete passes, which means incomplete pass means that the clock stops.
Sure.
And that's why some of these games are long. They're trying to they're trying to blame it on the referees.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, we're in a new era of passing the ball, and that's what's taking a little longer.
But look at all this money that they're spending on quarterbacks and receivers. I mean, these guys are going in the draft 1, 2, or at least top 5. And all of that money, look at how much money the Falcons spent on Julio Jones. Look at how much money they've given Andrew Luck and RG3. You've got to develop a passing game now because that's what's keeping the ticket buyers watching the game.
Okay.
That's what keeping all of the pay-per-view people.
Oh, yeah. The offense sells tickets. Defense
exactly.
wins championships.
So I'm looking at these stats from the Lions-Titans. So they threw for 378 and only rushed for 35?
The Titans?
Yes.
Well, the Titans gave Chris Johnson a whole bunch of money, and then he disappeared. Going into yesterday's game, he had like 19 carries for 20 yards, which means that he was basically getting a yard per carry.
Sure.
Which is like I can do that right now. I think Big Kenny can average 1 yard per carry.
At least.
Yeah,
1
I
yard.
can,
At least. With some decent blocking.
Yeah, I mean, just running there and jump on the ground is 1 yard.
Right. But those are staggering numbers. So you're right when you think about the difference, because I don't ever really care about football. Honestly, just care about what's going on in their personal life. But looking at these numbers.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right. You're absolutely. For most of them, it was like that in the Buccaneers and the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
You're right. It's
If you
becoming
look at the Lions,
pass.
the Lions threw 55 times yesterday. Even Tennessee, who's been known to be a running team, threw the ball 42 times. So almost 100 passes. That's going to make for a slow game. It's going to make.
But
for
did
a
you see
slow
some
game.
of those catches in the Tennessee game?
Did you see some of Nate Washington?
The excitement of a catch like that will make people go, throw the ball. Throw the ball. I mean, we want to see that they make great highlights. So
I guess my thing is that the quarterbacks, they're asking for a lot of throws from young quarterbacks. It's not like we're in, 8, 9 years. Ben Roethlisberger, these guys in their first and second years.
Hey, you get $80 million. I want you to throw too.
I know that's
You got
right.
a couple of years for you to wait till you get your vibe together. You better get out there and produce.
And once again, Matthew Stafford did not make the whole game. I mean, come on, man.
Ooh, surprise.
We'll be back with more of the NFL report right after
Fragile
this.
Matthew, that's what I'm going to call him.
Stafford.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
Psst. Hey, over here.
What?
Right here, on the side of the house.
Who said that?
Look down. I'm right at your feet.
Wait, the basketball?
Yes, the basketball. Right down here, where the kids left me a long time ago. Man, you know how lonely it is being a ball and not being able to bounce or roll?
Excuse me?
Remember when you got me for the kids? You said, now kids, you have no excuse not to go outside and play.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll miss flying through the air and hearing the shouts of joy when I swish through the basket. What do you say? Could you give me a little air and remind the kids of how fun I still am?
Okay. Oh, wow. You are flat.
Easy, I'm ticklish. Let's get bouncing.
As Native American parents and caregivers, our encouragement to healthy lifestyles for our kids is helping them get outside and play. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov/Indian Country. Brought to you by USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do you throw a curveball? How do you build a fort? How do refrigerators run? How do fish learn how to swim?
Kids ask a lot of questions,
How high can you jump?
but you don't have to know every answer.
How many phone numbers are there?
Because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent.
How do cell phones work?
There are thousands of children in foster care who don't need every question answered.
What's electricity?
They just need you.
What's the moon made of?
For more information on how you can adopt, go to adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. NFL action week 3 yesterday. The Bills beat Cleveland 24-14. Spiller, the running back for the Bills, really showed that he had some speed yesterday. Made some great runs in that game. New England last night against Baltimore, 31-30. The Ravens take that. We must take the time to send our condolences out to Torrey Smith.
Yeah.
His brother passed away basically Sunday morning. 19 years old. Stories are that Torrey has basically been taking care of his brother and two sisters. I think he has two brothers and a sister. His 19-year-old brother died on a motorcycle, ran off the road, and hit a power pole, I think. Which makes me feel like probably he was trying to do some tricks or something.
Sure. Just young and
to be
stupid.
doing something and fall off into a pole. That's a small object to hit.
Yeah, you a small object hitting a small. It's like hitting a golf ball on a tree, and you got the whole fairway. Yeah.
But Torrey did show what the American spirit is supposed to be about. Like, he went out and shined. He had like 2 touchdowns, 6 catches, and really, I think that football field became his moment of peace before the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that you can find some peace with 90,000 people and guys trying to knock your rib loose.
Right.
But watching him play, I think that's why he told the coach from the jump, I'm going to play tonight. And, in America, most people miss a whole week of work for their
looking to miss a week of
third
work
aunt's
anyway.
cat dying. It's
Right.
like they have to miss a week. And this
Well, Mr. Whiskers was special to me.
Right,
Sports Jock. Don't blame me because I grieve hard.
Listen,
know what I mean?
If the good producer's dog died, we would have to
We do a moment of silence.
no, we have to. He wouldn't be here
He
for a
wouldn't
month.
be here.
It'd be a whole month he would miss out. He'd probably be in some kind of rehab.
No, you're right. You're right.
He was trying to tell me why, we driving in and the man was picking up the dog's poo, and he says, "I bet the poo is warm."
What?
What? And I'm sitting here
like he was reminiscing. Like, wow, I bet it's nice.
I bet it's warm. I tell
What
you.
is that
man.
dog's name?
Nothing like dog.
What's that dog's name?
And told me, you just have to get a dog and then you'll get it. No, I'll never picking up somebody's
To get
poo.
warm poo?
I won't get that. When would that ever be like something?
Was he recruiting? Just wait till you get a dog. You'll understand.
You'll understand picking up dog poo. Really?
We digress.
Especially in those cold winter mornings when it's just
Hot
me
and
and
smoky.
Sparky.
Tampa Bay losing to Tony Romo. Wasn't a very exciting game. Dez Bryant did show you why he's such a great talent. If he could just get his head on right, he is going to be a great receiver. Big Kenny loved that he slapped his mom. Hey, I was okay with it as well.
What?
Well, I'm
There's
not.
a lot of what's
I'm not
going
saying
on.
he should have slapped
He
his
slapped
mama.
his
I'm
mama,
just saying
Wayne.
I understand.
You understand?
No. Roll it back. He slapped his mama?
Yeah, he slapped his mama back in the early summer.
What for?
Well, it's not like a mama. He called his grandmama mama. He called his mama Kiki.
Oh,
You know what
got
I mean?
you. One of those.
It's not like it's his mama.
Sure.
Right. It's his.
Okay.
It's the
Yeah,
lady that
I
gave
got
birth
you.
to him.
Word up
One
on
of
that
those.
slap,
Right,
then.
right,
I believe
right.
you. I feel it.
The Steelers losing out in Oakland. Hayward Bay. I hope you're okay. He took a vicious hit by Monday, the safety for the Steelers. Even in the hit, you can see his body go limp. He got caught right under the chin. I'm quite sure that's going to be about a $30,000 fine for the safety. But Hayward Bay, the receiver for the Raiders, was able, as they carted him off, to raise his arm. They don't think it's a concussion as much as they think it might be a neck injury. Hopefully he can return, if not this season, next year. Necks are always very, as Peyton Manning, a sensitive thing.
I'm amazed at the dudes that want to come back after having a serious neck injury. Like, your neck was almost severed, but with, some duct tape and a couple of screws and some cement plaster in a couple of seasons, you can come back and they go, get me back in the game, Doc.
They want to get back out there quick.
Kenny, you got 4 baby mamas. You got to play. Come on.
The Texans took on the Broncos, sending Denver to 1-2. The Texans are 3-0. I think before the season, we expected that the Texans would be 3-0. They look great with Matt Schaub, Adrian Foster having another 100-yard game. The Broncos being 1-2, I think a lot of people are surprised losing to the Falcons, but you've lost to probably the two of the top 4 teams in the league, so you can't hang your head too bad. You lost to the Broncos lost to the Falcons last Monday. They lost to the Texans yesterday, so you can't be too mad. One thing that's interesting, like you said, duct tape neck injury with Peyton Manning. It's not just the duct tape in the neck. It's also that Peyton Manning is 37 years old. Asking him to throw the ball 52 times is a lot of throwing for a man that wasn't even in football last year because of his neck and that older advance. That's a lot of passes. Even when he was here in the Falcon game, he's doing a lot of throwing. I think they're going with the wrong philosophy You know, Denver's always been known to run the ball. Now it's like, oh, we got somebody that can throw. Yeah, but he is still 37 years old.
Do you know how much that neck duct tape costs? They've got to get their money's worth out of this dude. I mean, that stuff's like they sell it by the inch, and they wrapped his neck like 3 times.
The Jets went down to Miami.
And won. Jets. Jets.
I'm waiting on you.
Oh yeah, I thought you said they went down like they lost. Like no, they went down in the third on the third quarter, but
you got Tim Tebow running.
Wildcat Jesus rose again on the third down.
Fake punts, and I think that Mark Sanchez set him up into embarrassment when he threw him that pass. Tim Tebow was supposed to be the decoy. He threw the ball and hit him in his helmet, Ryan, trying to embarrass the man in public.
There is no embarrassing Wildcat Jesus. We still believe.
And in a surprise, the Vikings upset the 49ers, which was probably the biggest surprise of the weekend and cost people the most money.
Yeah, messed up my whole sheet.
Yeah, what's the sheet number? What's
we'll
the sheet count?
After this. No, we're going to get to that later. We'll be back with the more of the Sports Jock Show right after this quick break.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette.
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
And another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. I think we hit all the games there, Lady T. Big Kenny. Let me see. The only game we missed, Cincinnati. Andy Dalton went into Washington, upset RG3 in his home debut. Redskins started the season beating the Saints and have dropped 2 games since that effort. RG3, as we have told you, you got to do like Julio Jones and cut the hair. You actually have plaits. You don't even have
dreads.
Yeah, you don't even have dreads or twists or nothing. You got actual afro and had somebody plait it up. But you're selling that Subway sandwich. I might stop by and get me one right after work. That imitation meat y'all have on there, but it's good when you warm it up. If you get it toasted though.
Hey man, and
it is good when it's you have it. Yeah, you the veggie guy, but if you get it toasted, it takes it up a notch.
That's a bite off Quiznos. Come on, now just go to Quiznos.
and RG3 needs to take a lesson from Michael Vick, and I mean he took some licks yesterday.
He got some hits.
If you want to have a long career in the NFL, you better start getting on the ground.
Yeah, some fines that are going to come out. I can't wait to report on it next week.
Oh yeah, it was some dude helmet to helmet. I mean, but that's the officiating. Right. They figure they're not calling anything.
Sure.
Let everything go back in.
Sure.
Mays, because I guess some of the players don't realize they don't have to throw the flag for Goodell to fine you Tuesday.
Right.
Because they got the safety for the Giants, Phillips, for $30,000 after last week's game on a play that they didn't call a flag on. And $30,000 that's like a career of fines. You get $30,000. I played a long time. And I don't think I made it up to about $22,000. You got it on one. Yeah, he got it in one
play.
So they have somebody just watching tape just to find them.
Well, what you have coaches, they'll break down film and they'll submit different plays to the NFL office, and then it becomes subjective to them. But
I mean, so do you have an instigator in the room? Like, nah, that ought to be at least $30,000. No, man, that was a $35,000 hit.
Yeah,
is there somebody like that, or is there a standard like if you knock them unconscious, that's $25,000?
No, it's a standard. It's a
first degree, second degree, third degree.
Right. No, that's because Phillips. This was like his, I think, third time. So he a repeat guy.
Right.
So,
repeat offender.
The first time probably was 10.
Why you look at
20.
me when you say repeat offender?
It was a natural,
you look straight at me
it was a
when you said
natural
repeat
head turn.
offender.
I just got me out there.
But it's a great games. Yesterday, a lot of big hits. I know Mays for Denver, the linebacker who hit Matt Schaub, who they say a piece of his ear might have came off.
What?
I know that he might get $50,000 for that hit yesterday.
A piece of his ear fell off?
Yeah, piece of the ear.
Yeah, I think a piece of his ear came off.
That man can't wear his cubic zirconia earrings now. What is wrong?
Before we get into the college report.
Ooh, I see you on the earlobe. Gee whiz. Like a pit bull bite.
A story I have to talk about, even though, it's not sports related, but it is missing parts.
Yay.
The Houston police officer that shot the wheelchair guy. Did you get some of that, Lady T?
No, I missed the assault on the paraplegic. Go
the
ahead.
Houston police officer, Matthew Marin, shot and killed a suspect who was missing an arm and a leg, and that was in a wheelchair.
So
I'm not making this
so
stuff
look,
up.
he can't charge him with armed assault, just arm assault, because he's only got one arm. And then but just because you're in a wheelchair, you just can't be rolling up on the police like that.
Maybe he was a power wheelchair. Maybe he was going too fast.
He was at a group home, and the overseer at the group home called the police. The officer came out. This is Saturday night. The guy is, he's missing his whole arm and, his knee up to his thigh. He's in a wheelchair. The officer said when he got in the home, the guy had
He told him to put his hands up, and he couldn't.
He wouldn't show me his hands. He refused to show me his hands.
He said he was waving something in the one hand that he had.
It was a no. He was waving a no.
He said he was waving a metal object, and he wouldn't put it down.
Right.
Comes out that the metal object was a pen.
Oh, my goodness.
Looks so close to a knife. Take a picture.
So
looks so close to a gun or any type of weapon.
Yeah, so
he was rushing me.
So he felt. He said he felt threatened. Is that the wheelchair going at him?
Yes.
Halt, sir. I said stop, and then it gets stuck.
Well, hold on though. If he's using his hand to move the chair, how was he swinging the knife?
He wouldn't show me his hands. That's it. He wouldn't show me his hand. And the metal thing was the control from the wheelchair. That's. I mean, come on.
Classic.
I had to bring that to y'all because that is classic. You don't get to make this won't happen again for another 50 years.
Yeah.
You have to wait 50 years to get another story
Like a lunar eclipse.
of a man with missing an arm and a leg in a wheelchair.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine this cop's partner going like, "Captain, I'd like to be reassigned because I think my partner's a little aggressive." I'm just saying, he's just a little aggressive.
He is on a 3-day mandatory leave from work.
Oh, 3 days. That's yeah.
He
the streets are sleeping safely.
They did say back in 2009 he shot a guy
that had only one leg and a missing foot.
That had a knife. So
a blind guy.
Body part vengeance.
This is a great case to take to court.
Yes,
though.
it is.
I would sue them.
He shot a blind guy with his arms stretched out in front of him. Looks like he was lunging at me.
We'll be back with more of the Sports Chalk Show right after this.
888-926-7562.
Pretend you're anything just to be adored and what you need.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Oh!
You are round MVP.
Yeah, man. Yo, Drew, I finally got round MVP. Round MVP.
No way. That was some ownage. It's a good thing you got me as your wingman.
Right. You mean when you threw that flash grenade at me?
Whatever, man. Huge round. Seriously, great stuff.
Finally earning round MVP takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes.
All right, class. I'm going to pass back your tests. And a high score goes to
Brian.
Oh, yeah! I scored, baby!
We're all good at something. Maybe it's breakdancing or skateboarding or video games. Whatever you're good at, you have the skills to make it happen. And those same skills will help you get to college. Visit knowhowtogo.org to learn what you should be doing right now to prepare for college. Start taking the steps at knowhowtogo.org.
I've got what it takes. So do you.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Hello, and welcome to today's lottery drawing. Good luck. And here's today's winning numbers. First one up, it's not yours. Second one, not yours. And another number that's not yours. Okay, this is one number that's yours. It's a 5, but you don't get any money for that. And the final number is not yours.
Yep, so chances are you're not going to hit the lottery anytime soon. Don't get us wrong, the lottery can be fun every now and then. Just please don't rely on it for your future savings. How about this? Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte every day. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering in. Ride your bike instead of buying all that gas. These changes alone can save you thousands a year. Thousands. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feed that piggy bank. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Work hard, play hard. Work hard, play hard. Work hard, play hard. Work. On diamonds all in my ring, player. Go.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. College football, week 4. This past weekend, a lot of great games, especially late. I was real upset that they didn't kind of stagger some of the great games. They just had them on all at the same time. And when we want to talk college football, we reach out to UGA media writer, BigHarryBlog.com, Han, and journalist, sports writer. I don't know why Twitty put that down there. My man Han Vance, are you there?
I'm here today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. First of all, I gotta ask you, was Arkansas just hype at the beginning of the season, or are they just distracted? What do you think?
Well, obviously they played without their quarterback, and the quarterback was kind of the team. The quarterback and obviously the receiver, Kobe Hamilton, who did set an SEC record in the last game. They're just not holding it together. The type of adversity they're under is the type of thing that you need a head coach for, and they're just not holding it together. Bama was just licking their chops, ready to give them a beat down. It could have been a close game under different circumstance. Louisiana Monroe is, somewhat for real as far as a challenge. They're challenging teams week in and week out. They just challenged Baylor, challenged Auburn.
Right.
I don't think Arkansas is lacking talent. Now Davis is a great running back. Kobe Hamilton's a great receiver. And they have a great quarterback, but they can't protect him. And their defense can't cover anybody. So that'll get you beat.
Yeah, that'll get you beat, huh?
Even I know that.
That sounds like a lost salad recipe.
He's like, this is a bad strategy.
Sure.
Well, hon, I was watching the LSU-Auburn game. Auburn put up a great fight against LSU, and when I see LSU, they're ranked number 2 going into the week. I think they fell down to like 3 or 4 now. I really felt like watching them play with that quarterback, Mettenberger is his name, I think. They don't really look like a top 10 team.
Not at all. And, remember back when I first came on at the beginning of the preseason, I was talking to you guys and said that Alabama actually has some question marks, which they currently are looking great. But LSU has some big question marks. The Honey Badger's gone. Morris Claiborne, a top 5 draft pick, is gone, playing for Dallas Cowboys now. Mettenberger has a great arm. I followed him at Georgia. His mom works for the program, and he was at Georgia and was battling Murray for the starting position, actually outplayed Murray in his final G-Day game at Georgia. But he has a great arm, but he's very inexperienced. They don't have that explosion. And if you remember last year, they were winning on trick plays, punt returns, honey badger magic every week. They weren't explosive last year. So to think that they're going to lose their best lineman, their best two cornerbacks, and their most explosive player, start a guy that has no career starts, and be the number 2 team in the country, it's ludicrous. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. They're winning on reputation as far as the pollsters go right now.
And do you
I thought Auburn had a good chance in that game, but, you know, they got to hit passes. Even late in the game when they had a chance, I know you were cringing when they had those receivers open and just couldn't complete the pass.
Yeah, I don't know where Auburn goes with their quarterback situation. I'm confused even when they take Kyle Frazier out to run the Wildcat, because I'm thinking, didn't Kyle Frazier run the Wildcat thing last year? Why do you need to take the guy out that used to run it?
That's his strength. I mean, that's one of his strengths. He seems like a good team guy, and he seems like he has some athleticism and actually has a decent arm, but it's the control in passing. He's not a very obviously controlled passer, and that's where Auburn's really struggling.
Well, sticking with Auburn, do you think Coach Chizik, if he doesn't make a bowl game, do you think he keeps his job?
Well, I think he's going to make a bowl game. First of all, let me just go on the record and say that. I think Auburn is decent. I do think the SEC West is down this year. No one's noticed because LSU and Bama haven't played anybody and haven't lost any games. But I think Coach Chizik's going to turn it around, get them to a bowl game. And he's got a great defensive coordinator. As you see, Van Gorder is the master in college football of second-half adjustments. He comes in at the halftime at Georgia when he was there. We're getting pushed around, and boom, every time, second half lights out. Every time for like 3 years. I mean, the guy is a master of in-game adjustments. So I think they have a good defensive coordinator. We know they have the talent. I think they need to play the other kid at quarterback and maybe go back to doing the Wildcat with the guy they've got, because he's not getting it done. You just got to mix it up some. If they could have pulled out the victory, that would have been a different thing because we would have had momentum. But I think Auburn's going to turn it around and be like a 8-4, 7-5 type of team, just because they do have the talent and the schedule. You know, there's some dicey games coming up, but there's some winnable games too.
Well, hon, I thank you for that because you have more optimism about it than me. I'm going with you. You say 8-4, 7-5. I'm gonna ride with you because I had them down at 5-7. But hopefully, if that defense that showed up the other night against LSU comes to play each week, you're right. They could end up 7-5 very easily.
And keep in mind, this is only Van Gorder's third game there. So, and they went out and played the number 2 team in the country. Mettenberger has a cannon. I'm serious. Mettenberger is a good player. LSU has 4 good running backs. And they went out and, befuddled them. So that is an optimistic spin on what's, let's face it, a bad season on the plains.
Well, hon, who's more legit, Florida State or Notre Dame?
Well, they played in the bowl last year. I was trying to remember what happened. It was, wasn't much of a primetime matchup. They were both like 4-loss, 5-loss teams. Both look real solid on defense. I don't know that beating Clemson in a shootout is that impressive. Florida State hasn't done much in years. Notre Dame hasn't done much either, but they're winning some games. Michigan State's a good team, and they beat Michigan State. I'd say Florida State, but neither of them are too legit.
Got you. And what do you think about the ACC taking Notre Dame in and not grabbing onto the football team? Is that really a win for the ACC?
I put something on my Big Harry Blog Facebook page about this, which was Notre Dame, perfect fit for the ACC, mediocre at best. And they didn't even really get them to join. What they did is get them to join in the future, I think, because Notre Dame positioned themselves to where they've aligned with the ACC. They're going to play ACC teams, and they've always played some Atlantic Coastal teams. And then when the time comes, if Notre Dame wants to, they'll go ahead and sign up as a full member of the conference. ACC, they need anything they can get. I mean, they need Florida State to have a big year this year and get in the national championship, not embarrass themselves. They need to win. They're something like 2-13 in the 15 BCS games. ACC is a joke.
All right. Well, I know one thing. If we can get some of those players to go to class at North Carolina, maybe they'll have a football team as well. Speaking
of a couple good coaches, 3 or 4 good coaches come and go from Notre Dame. From North Carolina. They've had some good coaching. starting with Mac Brown. They've had some good coaching there, and they've had some good years. They're like a sleeping giant, is what they always say about North Carolina. All the resources, no reason they can't win. They just don't.
You're breaking one of my producers' heart over there.
I'm saying
he's waiting on basketball season. Look at him over there.
Is the Giant sleeping or in a coma?
Well, I mean, if you put Kentucky and North Carolina and Duke's football teams together, they'd be a good third-string basketball team.
Well, speaking of the ACC, before I let you go, Georgia Tech game here in Atlanta against the Hurricanes. Miami prevailing. Running back Mike James, and I must give myself a pat on the back, came up in my football camp. He's from my hometown.
I got to get down there this year, Wayne, and hang out with you if that's going on.
Yeah, come on down, Mike James. He's from my hometown, so he spent at least 8-10 years coming to my camp. But it was great to see him play. Great game between those two teams. Is Miami back?
I wouldn't say back, but they have potential. There's just so many bad omens that have hung over that program. My dad had almost gone to the University of Miami, and consequently, I ended up almost going to the University of Miami. If I'd gone private school, I would have gone to school there, but I ended up at Georgia and was blessed to be there. Miami is loaded with talent. When you look at the state of Florida, Gainesville and Tallahassee are North Florida. It's so far down there. They have such a huge area. Florida being the most populated state in the South. There's plenty of recruiting. There's plenty of good players. There's plenty of speed. But again, when you're doing it against Jekyll and Hyde, Georgia Tech, I don't think that's much of a statement game. It was 19-0, then there's 36 points scored by another team, and then they lose. That's just crazy football. And it's Miami's going to be decent, but I don't know that they're good. But they're the type of talent base. Give them a couple years of nothing going wrong, and they are top 10, potentially top 5. They have the best shot to be the best program in the ACC year in and year out, just based on the recruiting base.
All right. Well, Han, last question. Florida, Jeff Driscoll, how good do you think he's going to end up being?
He was one of the top high school players in the country, as you know, Wayne, and he's a pretty good quarterback. I don't think he's great, but he's pretty good. What is great is the Gators' defense. Gators have an excellent defense. They were top 10 last year, and no one gave them any credit because they lost so many ball games. I still say the SEC East, watch out for the SEC East. Georgia and South Carolina are looking like legitimate top 5 teams. And then Florida is good. Tennessee was also pushing Florida around before Florida came back on them. We don't know how good Tennessee is. We're going to see this week in Athens between the hedges. Florida can be a very good team and a very dangerous team. They may end up top 10. I sure hope they don't.
Go tell them. That sounds like a Georgia Bulldog.
How do you really feel about Florida?
Well, Hans, thank you.
I put it this way. I like to go to Jacksonville.
Well, Han, thank you for calling in and helping us out with our college football, BigHarryBlog.com, Han Vance. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show.
Saw you on TV there, Wayne. Keep it up, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to y'all. Bye,
right.
See you back, Kenny.
All right.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
Go Caleb! Come on, hit a homer, Jesse!
Let's go, guys!
Hey, did you guys know that kids who play sports earn more money when they grow up?
Of course. I knew that.
Hey, did you guys know that kids who read books have a bigger vocabulary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Jinx. Did you guys know that friendly children have more friends?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's true. I knew that. Did you guys know that winter babies are better at music?
Everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah?
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obvious.
Oh, hey, guys. Did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Huh. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure I knew that.
I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The forest is a treasured and magical place.
Hello, Bambi. Hello, little prince. Hello. Hello there.
But a wildfire can destroy its beauty for a lifetime. It's always wildfire season somewhere in America. Nearly 9 out of 10 wildfires nationwide are caused by the carelessness of humans and could be prevented. But together, we can make a difference.
Watch what I can do!
Help protect the home of our forest friends.
He can call me a flower if he wants to.
To find out more, log on to SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
This message has been brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, the National Association of State Foresters, and the Ad Council.
Come on! You could do it!
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Oh, yeah. Baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Feeling like the way you do. Hey, feeling like the way you
Oh, tonight, baby, get on tonight. You gotta talk. You gotta sing out your throat. He was never in front of the mic. Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock Wayne Gandy, sitting here with my co-host Big Kenny and Lady T, reminiscing about when they were in.
When R&B was real.
They were in college when this song was out. I was in the crib.
The crib meaning a place that he had bought for himself.
Not yet. Wayne was doing when this song was on.
Adult.
He was still in his mama house with no air conditioning.
Don't break up them days. I'm scarred by that. I'm scarred. I sleep on the floor and the couch now because you couldn't get into bed. It was too hot.
Sweating the mattress out.
Lady T, you were telling me before we went on the air about a wallet, or Google got a wallet now or something.
Yes,
Okay.
Wayne technology. And I know this is going to go way over your head.
First of all, were you in the line for the iPhone? Were you one of those people?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because I got too many kids to take care of. I cannot waste time like that. But if I didn't, if I was single and had no children, I would have been parked out there to get that iPhone 5. I really would.
Because
my iPhone 4 is cracked up and jacked up right now. I really do need a new phone. But honestly, I mean, the hype of technology is getting outrageous, and for so many good reasons. Because Google has this Google Wallet, and you take your phone, your smartphone, and you basically tap it on a register for whatever merchants use this technology, and you load up the app. You search which credit card that you've already loaded up, and you say, I'm going to use my Visa, I'm going to use my American Express, and then you just tap it on the register, and it spins like that. And if you get any kind of discounts because you're using your Google app phone.
You're talking about high-end stores. This is not at Walter's Shoes down.
I'm talking about at the Go-Berry yogurt place.
High-end. I don't know. What is that, Go-Berry?
That's like yogurt. Like Go-Gurt, you know,
I haven't.
Go-Gurt place.
Yeah, I haven't made it. I haven't made it that high yet.
Wait a minute. A high-end store that the Sports Jock doesn't know about.
I don't know about no
It's
Go-Gurt.
a conspiracy. Oh, it's got to be some health food. Yeah, okay. I bet if it were a high-end pork sandwich store.
Oh yeah, I'd be all over there.
If they were selling pig feet, he'd be.
I'd be right there.
Yeah.
You know, they'd have my picture up there.
The whole thing about it is that you don't have to carry your wallet. Everybody has their smartphone, and so why pull out your wallet? Why pull out your credit cards? You just pull out your phone, tap it on the register, and pay your bill. Just like that.
So people going to go broke with that because they're going to lose count of how many times they
trust
tapped.
me. You won't be able to tap out when you can't tell. You're going to be tapped
and then somebody's going to mess around and tap at the register and the wrong picture's going to get sent accidentally. And the screen's going to be showing somebody taking one of those inappropriate pictures at breakfast. You know what I mean? It'll be a Gronkowski picture.
But it's the new thing.
It's the new thing.
And then trust me, it's going to start happening because I get coupons now at places. I don't tap to spend money, but when I spend my money, I will tap at one of my favorite yoga places, and it gives me a buyer's club. And so after I tap 9 times, my 10th time is free.
Okay.
Like, you know, that's
Yeah,
how it works with the prostitutes.
I was gonna say that sounds like a program that's been in existence for a
Forever.
while. Yeah,
Since Moses.
Tap about 9 times, and you at least, well, not free, but at a discount at the very least.
Well, speaking of technology, flight attendant Wendy Dye, 43 years old. She got caught. She had stolen a man's iPad.
Right.
Off the plane. She claims that one of the other passengers gave it to her, and she was going to take it back to the airline.
Right.
The gentleman who lost the iPad had some kind of app on there called Find My iPad.
Sure.
So they found it in her house. So speaking of technology, and when they found her, she said, well, I was going to take it back. One of the passengers said it was in the seat, right? So, people are very crazy. So the police, as they should, they checked the iPad out, and she had some personal information on this man's iPad.
Which means she was going to keep it.
Exactly. She had her husband's birthday marked, like happy birthday, whatever her husband's name. So when they were coming in the house, when they knocked, you didn't, what do you think? You didn't go to the erase board or?
She wasn't thinking.
I don't know.
She wasn't thinking. She had to put our cycle days on the calendar. I'm telling you.
I think
she
the
was
true crime
there.
is that is in her being 42 and a flight attendant. You know what I'm saying?
Funny.
Can we get somebody younger in the aisles, please?
That is funny.
I mean,
42 and a flight attendant.
43.
Oh my goodness, that's even worse. Yeah, she's
43.
I think she's reached her born on date in air years.
But everybody has those Find My Something apps. Are you kidding me? Unless you know how to disable that and shut it down and turn it off or whatever, even if you can, I don't even know if you can. I might need to Google that myself. But that is the thing that you do. I mean, you're always going to be able to find it as soon as you go to that.
Are Apple products that exciting that you risk your career?
Absolutely.
Yeah, your job.
I'm sure that by 43, maybe she's been in the friendly skies for some time, and you've just ruined all.
If you take my Apple products, then I'm gonna have first degree assault on you. I promise you.
And someone wouldn't even look for the iPad. Most of your iPad people are dedicated computer people.
I got all three right here: my computer, my iPhone, I'm eyed up.
Yeah, you don't tapped out over there. You can't.
and now that I know that she'll find these at the pawn shop, won't be at my house.
We'll be back with more of the Sports Chalk Show right after this.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Hello, and welcome to today's lottery drawing. Good luck. And here's today's winning numbers. First one up, it's not yours. Second one, not yours. And another number that's not yours. Okay, this is one number that's yours. It's a 5, but you don't get any money for that. And the final number is not yours.
Yep, so chances are you're not going to hit the lottery anytime soon. Don't get us wrong, the lottery can be fun every now and then. Just please don't rely on it for your future savings. How about this? Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte every day. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering in. Ride your bike instead of buying all that gas. These changes alone can save you thousands a year. Thousands. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feed that piggy bank. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Psst. Hey, over here.
What?
Right here, on the side of the house.
Who said that?
Look down. I'm right at your feet.
Wait, the basketball?
Yes, the basketball. Right down here, where the kids left me a long time ago. Man, you know how lonely it is being a ball and not being able to bounce or roll?
Excuse me?
Remember when you got me for the kids? You said, now kids, you have no excuse not to go outside and play.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll miss flying through the air and hearing the shouts of joy when I swish through the basket. What do you say? Could you give me a little air and remind the kids of how fun I still am?
Okay. Oh, wow. You are flat.
Easy, I'm ticklish. Let's get bouncing.
As Native American parents and caregivers, our encouragement to healthy lifestyles for our kids is helping them get outside and play. Get ideas, get involved, Get going at letsmove.gov/Indian Country. Brought to you by USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Candy. Lady T, I want you to do something for me real quick.
What, have a dance contest?
I want you to
every time we come
switch
back?
places with the bad producer. Bad producer, come to the mic.
Ooh.
Good,
Come
bad
on
producer.
down.
To the mic.
Ooh.
Don't give him that look. You've been wanting your shining
You know
moment.
he's been waiting for it.
You've been wanting this shining moment. Come on. Come on to the seat, man. We only got 8 minutes in the segment. Now you want to turn your hat like
Let
you
me
gangster.
dust off the chair. Let me clean it off.
Well, this is not a gangster program. We just told you about the gangs killing people in Chicago. There you go. That's the side I wanted to see.
Yeah, I'm going to put him on you. Sit down.
There we go. There we go.
Turn around.
There we go. Give him the headphones. There you go.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the bad producer. He doesn't need any name other than the bad producer. He's a Falcon fan, a LeBron hater, loves anything North Carolina, even though they only have a basketball team. And he loves golf. And this morning, he seemed like he was adamant that we had to speak something about golf. So we couldn't find our resident golf expert, Mr. Mike Lipnick. He said he would call in next week. So we're going to give the bad producer his 6 minutes. You know, they usually give him 15 minutes of fame. He's only going to get 6 for what he can contribute. So welcome him to the show, Big Kenny. Let's give him a clap.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Bad
Sports
producer.
Jock. Thank you, Big Kenny.
Yeah,
Bad
yeah.
producer,
Glad to be
bad
on the show
producer.
today with you.
The East Lake golf tournament was here this past week. And the winner is
Brent Snedeker.
And tell us a little bit about Brent Snedeker.
Brent Snedeker is from Tennessee originally, and he's a very good golfer in the past. He's had a great season, but he hasn't always been a closer. And this time he had a chance to beat the world's best. He came in the top 5, and he had to finish. He actually had to win to be able to beat Rory or Tiger. And actually he did what he needed to do, and he went in. He sealed the deal on Sunday. He went in. He had the lead on Saturday night, and he kept the lead on all day through the round on Sunday. He had a hiccup early in the match on hole number 6. He hit it in the water, but he still prevailed and held on to become the FedEx Cup champion, along with winning the Tour Championship at East Lake. And with that he won $11 million on yesterday.
11.4 million.
Yeah, 11.4.
That's 10 million for the FedEx Cup, and that's 1.4 for actually winning the tournament. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the caddy get 10 to 15%.
The caddy get 10 to 15%. So all you kids out there that are about 15 that are about to commit crimes, get a golf book. Sounds like a good gig to me.
Really?
Big.
So, and then if the caddying doesn't work out, golf usually has a lot of wealthy people that you can rob playing the sport. So it's a win-win, children. It's
No,
a
you
win-win.
You can't get near him. I promise you. You're not going to try to rob
No,
him.
You don't know
I'm
Big
talking
Kenny.
about,
You don't know who
yeah,
Big
that's
Kenny
what I'm saying.
know.
You don't know who. We're an organized group of people. We're not just out there random.
So, bad producer, tell us about the course. You went out. Tell us about the crowd, the atmosphere. You was out at East Lake.
Oh, East Lake is very nice. It's the home of Bobby Jones, one of the greatest golfers of all time. He's one of the best golfers who never turned professional. He was an amateur, Georgia Tech grad. He grew up right there at East Lake, him and Charlie Yates. But Bobby Jones won the actual slam, which Tiger has tried to accomplish. They call it the Tiger Slam. But Bobby Jones has been able to win the U.S. Open, British Open, and the Masters and the Amateur Championship all in the same year. And that's something like Tiger's trying to a feat that Tiger's trying to do. And East Lake is very beautiful. It's very old in history. Just the golf course is in great shape. The greens was rolling about a 13.5 on the stemp meter, and
13.5.
And what that means,
it
means real fast. For real fast. But Tiger, he played pretty good. He the beginning of the week, but he played 2 days real well, but he didn't play too well on yesterday. He or Rory, so they really didn't have a chance to capture that $10 million prize. That would be something great. It would have been Tiger's second time. It would have been Rory's first time. But at the same time, the crowd was great. Food was good. A lot of sunshine and a lot of fun in the ATL on a fall beautiful day.
And you say you ran into some Georgia. What's the fan? What was the Bubba Watson? What was that about?
We was out. Me and a friend of mine. We was out touring on the field and the course, watching Bubba Watson hit it in the woods over by us, and Bubba Watson being a Georgia grad, you hearing people hollering "Sick 'em Bulldog" whenever he walks by. Matt Kuchar, Bud, Yellow Jackets, whatever school affiliated, you got fans all over. Jason Duffner, Auburn, you hear the War Eagle. But anyway, Bubba hit one in the woods, and he asked the fans to back up. And I'm knowing Bubba's left-handed golfer, so I was on the side because, I was trying to get on the camera. NBC, I was going to make, because you get that, everybody fall in the back, and hopefully I'll get a camera shot. But anyway, Bubba asked everybody to back up.
Always trying to get on. Yeah.
Bubba asked everybody to back up, and it continued. They stood there, and, we looked. There was an Auburn guy and an Alabama guy standing side by side. And Alabama, Bubba said, "Hey, back up." They just looked at each other again, the Auburn and Alabama guy. And me being the smart mouth that I am, I said, "Hey, talking to you two guys, Auburn and Alabama. He's a Georgia guy. He wants you out of his sight." So everybody just started giggling because I thought it was pretty funny. They thought it was funny too. But at the same
on the
time,
golf course, that is funny.
Yeah. You had to be there.
You had to be there on the golf course.
They had to be from Alabama because I guess they didn't understand what he said when the gentleman asked them to back up. But going forward, the Ryder Cup is coming up this week. You did, if you was out there, you did get to see some of the European players that's going to be playing in the Ryder Cup, and you've seen some of the players from the American team. It's going to be at Medina Country Club. I was fortunate enough to be out there last week with my junior golf team at Medina. It's a beautiful place. Get a chance to watch the Ryder Cup next week. It's a beautiful thing. It happens only once every 2 years. Europe has been kicking our ass, and we hope we can win. Hopefully Tiger got his game together, and we can win the Ryder Cup this year as the Americans.
I have to check with the FCC about
that last flourish.
Right
yeah.
there.
It's good. It's all good.
I can't trust you. I can only trust you about golf. It's on my, so. But thank you, Bad Producer, for helping us with the golf report. Thank Lady T for giving you your 15 minutes.
Thank you, Lady T.
Okay. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show right after this.
Happens every 2 years like you sitting in.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
Psst. Hey, over here.
What?
Right here, on the side of the house.
Who said that?
Look down. I'm right at your feet.
Wait, the basketball?
Yes, the basketball. Right down here, where the kids left me a long time ago. Man, you know how lonely it is being a ball and not being able to bounce or roll?
Excuse me?
Remember when you got me for the kids? You said, "Now kids, you have no excuse not to go outside and play."
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll miss flying through the air and hearing the shouts of joy when I swish through the basket. What do you say? Could you give me a little air and remind the kids of how fun I still am?
Okay. Oh, wow. You are flat.
Easy, I'm ticklish. Let's get bouncing.
As Native American parents and caregivers, our encouragement to healthy lifestyles for our kids is helping them get outside and play. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov/Indian Country. Brought to you by USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do you throw a curveball? How do you build a fort? How do refrigerators run? How do fish learn how to swim?
Kids ask a lot of questions.
How high can you jump?
But you don't have to know every answer.
How many phone numbers are there?
Because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent.
How do cell phones work?
There are thousands of children in foster care who don't need every question answered.
What's electricity?
They just need you.
What's the moon made of?
For more information on how you can adopt, go to adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. And if you hadn't noticed, I gave the bad producer 15 minutes of fame, and then he come back with a remix
That was terrible.
of Reminisce and Madonna. I think that was a Madonna song back in the day.
He couldn't get back into his role.
Yeah,
he
can't.
lost focus.
His heart just beating over there.
For all you children, stay in your lane.
He did a great job. Way to go, bad producer.
Way to go there, bad producer. As we were on
He's
talking about
right.
golf, we had a caller call in. Jared on the line. Jared, are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Seven Deuce. I heard you last week. I like that.
Seven Deuce. Yeah.
Hey, I had a lot of names in the locker room. Seven Deuce, Big 190. Hey, that's a whole nother show, though, Jared.
That's a whole other show.
You called to talk about them officiating.
Well, yeah, the officiating, but I tried to get you last week. I don't call about when the Raiders just win, but I just wanted to let you know, ask you about the Haynes Michael Bay, the receiver getting hit across the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And people were complaining about the refs, possibly a safety issue. And I know they didn't get flagged on that helmet hit in the end zone with defensive receiver. And there was a couple other plays over the week where they can get flagged for that defensive receiver going across. And now do people see that the replacement refs could lead to injury now?
I think a lot of those hits are just football. I think the hits like on Matt Schaub yesterday that Denver took, or even the one that Romo, someone hit Romo, those you can kind of cartel. But when you're talking about playing defense and you start running towards the ball, some of that stuff is just your natural instinct. A lot of times, I don't think the player is necessarily going to injure the other player. Putting your head down is a natural reaction. I always tell little kids that if I told you to go hit somebody, as soon as you get two of them, you seem to drop your head. The proper technique is to hit people, see what you hit them with your face mask. But even on the pro level, you see a lot of bad tackling. I a lot of times are more worried about the defensive player because he's the one who has put his head down and he's the one who could jam his neck. Now, it usually turns out that the receiver takes the force, but the defender necessarily can hurt himself, paralyze himself. I think the officiating has been bad at times. I think that the coaches and the players are getting in the way a lot because they know these guys are replacement, so they don't have to respect their authority. If you watch them, it's like after every call, every player. Deshaun Jackson, Mike threw him a fly route. He felt like the guy touched him, and instead of running and catch the ball, he actually started arguing with the ref, and he could have caught the ball and ran a touchdown. So it's put everybody in this mindset like I don't have to, like the substitute teacher. I don't have to show them the same respect. When your teacher is there, you shut up. When the sub come, you try to get an extra word in. You make him tell you 3 times for what your teacher told you once. So as long as we keep talking about it, the media, we have to report about it. But the Chris Collinsworth, and I watched the game last night, he just is perpetuating all this because every call, they just scrutinize it like the old refs, like Jerry Jones said. Y'all didn't like the old refs either. Y'all argued when they called something. So I do think
my question was like some of those flags that came out last year with those receivers getting hit across the middle. Yeah, we know that was football like 10, 20 years ago, but last year they were throwing flags on those hits. So
yeah,
they guys aren't.
Yeah, they were calling flags on those things, and that's what I explained to Lady T and Big Kenny earlier. Even without the flags, those guys still get fined. You just aren't getting the yardage in the game, which you want. But don't think the NFL is not watching and finding those guys. Like I said, they fined Phillips. I can't think of his. I think it's Jermaine Phillips for the Giants. $30,000 last week for a hit. So I think that the refs do have to take more control as far as calling it. I don't think you really can stop that because it's a natural football. You put yourself in a bad situation. I can let you catch it and y'all can win the game, or I can hit you, knock the ball out, and you just get 10 yards. So hopefully it can get better with the referees, but I think a lot of it would be if everybody just relax and let the people do their jobs. And they did have a meeting last week. I think they met 3 times with the regular refs. They still are a long way apart from what everybody's reporting. They're no closer than they were 2 months ago. So you might want to settle in, at least for the next couple of weeks. These are going to be the guys.
NFL is a bully. They bullied the players.
Thank you for calling, Jerry. I appreciate the call.
They bully the players. They're bullying the refs. And I bet you if you start finding these refs for these bad calls, you'll save up enough money to go ahead and pay the original refs. That's my new.
Well, how are you going to? I mean,
you're gonna find the refs.
Yeah, I'm saying you're policing the people that police the game.
Sure.
Yeah, that's.
Sure, who's policing
if you
the
think
police?
the game is slow now, right?
We'll be out there all day.
If you think it's slow now, just wait for
And
somebody to go,
NFL's
they're
a
going to
bully.
find
They're
me.
just bullies.
The bullies.
Can we have a dance contest when we come back in from the breaks? Because I'm feeling the music.
No.
I might hurt,
No, we cannot.
Hurt my back.
No, we cannot.
Yeah, us around here paralyzed. That is definitely a young man's sport.
I think you've been watching too much
Omarion.
Disney Channel. Yeah.
We'll be back with more of the Sports Chalk Show right after this
dance contest.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Everybody, let's go, let's go. Ho, ho, ho. Welcome, everyone, to West High School Spring Fling. Hey, where we at, Steve?
Alright, I've gone through all the tracks, just move through the beats. Do your thing.
All right, everyone, let's hear it for West High's own Brooke Turner, a.k.a. DJ Hook.
Scratching at my first school dance takes confidence. So getting into college, I've got what it takes. Okay, I went through the practice sessions, I slept good, I feel good.
We will now begin the test. Please take out your pencils.
I got this.
We're all good at something. Maybe it's breakdancing or skateboarding or video games. Whatever you're good at, you had the skills to make it happen. And those same skills will help us get to college. Visit knowhowtogo.org to learn what you should be doing right now to prepare for college. Start taking the steps at knowhowtogo.org.
I've got what it takes. So do you.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation, and the Ad Council.
The odds of a young girl being discovered by an industry insider while singing to herself pumping gas? 1 in 300 million. The odds of the daughter of a clergyman from Severn, Maryland spending 11 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of going on to win 6 Grammy Awards? 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of selling over 40 million records? 1 in 800,000. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. This is when we usually do Behind the Glass. We were going to do Behind the Glass, something we started a couple of weeks ago. But I didn't know that y'all had decided that y'all are going to be on camera. So since y'all have decided that, and not telling me that y'all are going to be on camera, we're not going to do Behind the Glass.
It's a mutiny.
It's a mutiny. I mean,
we don't need the sports jock anymore.
They have come up with their own show.
Board the microphones. Grab the cameras.
So we're going to skip.
Mutiny.
We're going to skip right over Behind the Glass this week. Maybe we'll bring it to you next week.
Sports jock.
When I get information. Get off the mic. I gave you a minute. Don't talk. Don't talk. Don't talk. We'll move on to something else.
Turn the camera back around.
Are y'all still on camera?
No, we're not. We don't have
Big
our
Kenny, do you
wide
see
shot
yourself?
no more.
No, and you know how vain I am.
No. We're gonna move on. Wow, the rats are really in the building. I thought the cats kept the rats out, but I guess not.
Bring the chickens in.
Let me see. Let the sports jock flip through. We can't talk about Behind the Glass.
You want me to beat somebody? Because we are Southside Chicago. I will roll up on them Behind the Glass. I'll bust their
Big
glass.
Kenny, I got something over here. Hold on one second.
You see, they revealed their hand a little too quick. There was a mutiny all along. He got on this side of the. That's when a few weeks ago when they started this Behind the Glass thing. That's what this.
I
is all
heard
been
him
about.
tell y'all earlier
That's what it's
that
been
there
all
was
about.
an extra camera for a wide shot of YouTube.
But you see how they flipped it.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I don't even remember endorsing a check to buy an extra camera.
Yeah.
You see how they try to rip off the
and
athlete?
it's got all kind of extra accessories to go with
It's
it.
big.
And did you see how it was kind of like real slow? They came over here with no fanfare at all, just turned the camera
So we're going
around.
to push on to, let's see something we can talk about.
Our search for new producers. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about our job search right now. Yo, dog, I'm just not feeling that, dog. It was all right for me. It was just all right.
Okay, here's a story. We'll talk about obesity. Isn't it like National Obesity Month or something? And we got on some of this last week with Taylor Townsend. Reports came out last week. Georgia ranks second in the country for childhood obesity.
Wow. Now that's
second in the country.
Who's number one?
Mississippi is number one.
Oh, I should have known that, but I don't know where I was thinking. But I didn't know we were number two.
Mississippi is number one. Georgia now is number two. Man. 1 in 3 children in Georgia, ages 10 to 17, are overweight or obese. Mississippi does lead in as far as just states of total population obesity. They're number one in both children and adults too. I think Georgia is like 13th, with kids 10 to 17 and with 13th overall.
Is it the lunches?
Obesity.
Is it the lunches? You think the school lunches?
Or is it the pulled pork and beef bacon double cheeseburger
at Hardee's?
Okay.
That everybody's grabbing with the chili fries.
You know, during school, you're at school most of your life, most of the time. Is it the junk food?
I've always contributed to, up until the video game, everything was outside.
Right.
And then with the video game and then the computer.
That's right. They're not getting the exercise. They're not getting the physical activity.
Then that's cutting out. Because you rarely go through any neighborhood and see kids in the street. When the last time you slowed your car down? Like, get out the way. Get out the way. Which that used to be what we did.
Hey, in Chicago, it's kids laying all over the street.
You
know? They
outside.
They outside in Chicago. I mean, they outside in the shop.
You know what I'm talking about. We used to be jumping rope or playing football or stickball.
You used to jump rope?
We take your water hose.
Oh, okay.
We do.
And then you jump rope with it.
Yeah, we had two people with the water hose.
That ain't a country, Kenny. Now remember the difference.
I'm just saying.
Y'all didn't jump rope in the city?
No.
Y'all just jumped through windows.
The chicks were jumping rope.
And the girls were jumping rope, but no, the boys never. Yeah. We sat and harassed the girls.
We used to play one piggy, two piggy. Remember that piggy?
No, we stayed away from the pigs in my neighborhood.
You know what I'm talking about. Piggy, we used to have piggy 1, piggy 2, piggy 3. That determined if you were the back catcher.
Determined if you were talking to the authorities. No. Okay.
There is a
gangbanger. Go whatever.
There's a kid here in Georgia.
Gangbang recreation.
His name is Tiger Green. He's 14. When he was 12, he was 250 pounds, and he decided he wanted to lose weight so he could play football in high school. And he said a lot of his came because he ate when he was bored. Like, he would get bored, he'd just go get something to eat. It wasn't like he was hungry. And he said he lost a lot of weight because even at a young age, he stopped doing that. And by doing that, he was able to lose 30 pounds. He's written a book that's coming out later this year called Sacking Obesity because from what I was reading, most of the books are for adults. It's never about kids. It's always about tips for adults to lose weight. And he was just like, his eating came from, he wasn't depressed. He'd just be sitting home.
Grazing.
Like, okay,
like a
I'm
cow.
going out here and get something to eat.
I'm going to eat every
And then
time
he
you
would
pass
eat,
the
then his
pantry.
mom would cook and he would eat whatever she cooked. So, but can you, like you about to.
No, I'm just saying, whatever happened to the parent that would go, boy, get out that refrigerator. You just ate a minute ago. What are you doing?
Right.
Well, she at work. She's not at home.
24 hours a day?
Sure, double jobs. She's a single parent. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you're right.
So
we used to couldn't get something unless we ask a parent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You couldn't just go get something out of the refrigerator or anything. You had to go ask, can I have some cereal? Can I have a napkin?
And there was your morning portion of cereal, and then that was it for cereal for the
That's
day.
because y'all ate all the cereal in one sitting.
Yeah, I mean.
Of course. That's why the mamas can afford big old burly boys.
Yeah, that's because they used to buy them big old 9-pound cornflake boxes. Somebody got to eat it before it goes stale.
I think it's great that he wrote a book. That's phenomenal.
We used to eat it with condensed milk. You really want to get, if you really want to go there.
Nasty, Wayne.
You really want to go there.
Condensed milk.
You get you some of that condensed milk and add a little water.
Add some sugar on top of it.
Yeah, it was going to town. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show right after this.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
Everybody, let's go, let's go. Welcome everyone to West High School Spring Fling. Hey, where we at?
Alright, I've gone through all the tracks, just move through the beats. Do your thing.
All right, everyone, let's hear it for West High's own Brooke Turner, a.k.a. DJ Hook.
Scratching at my first school dance takes confidence. So getting into college, I've got what it takes. Okay, I went to the practice sessions, I slept good, I feel good.
We will now begin the test. Please take out your pencils.
I got this.
We're all good at something. Maybe it's breakdancing or skateboarding or video games. Whatever you're good at, you had the skills to make it happen. And those same skills will help us get to college. Visit knowhowtogo.org to learn what you should be doing right now to prepare for college. Start taking the steps at knowhowtogo.org.
I've got what it takes. So do you.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Enough is enough. I have had it.
Why so serious?
And we hold the world ransom for
Wayne Gandy.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Show me.
Broadcasting live from the Armada Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. This is the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy.
Woo! 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 One and then the two and then the three and then the four. Then you gotta breathe. One and then the two and then the three and then the four. Then you gotta breathe. Then you gotta.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. We are in the noon hour, and them 2 hours flew by.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about. I mean, we were able to throw out behind the glass because we got so much to talk about. We'll get some camera time. This ain't the Dan Patrick Show. We don't show the producers like that. Sports Jock Show.
Calling audible.
They hit me with the Peyton Manning, just changed my play.
Sure.
32. Wait, scratch that. 41.
Oh, man. Charles Barkley. We was talking to golf. a couple of minutes ago, came out last week and said he wanted to offer Tiger Woods some of his blackness. That he felt that Tiger Woods should have taken more offense to Greg Norman's comments that Rory McIlroy intimidates Tiger. Greg Norman justified this by saying that, every 15, 20 years, the new player takes over and it intimidates the guy that used to be the man. Barkley felt like that Tiger, with his power, should have had a rebuttal. Like, man, I got about 300 more championships than you. And I got about 300 porn stars. So between my porn star appetite and my,
I fade you all the way to the max.
bikini.
And so Charles Barkley felt like, Tiger, that was terrible. That was terrible that you didn't say nothing. It's terrible. You need more blackness in you.
Blackness. Now,
What is that? What is that with that stereotype of blackness is supposed to be like this? I'm confrontational. I'm aggressive. I'm gonna get busy with you. I mean, I hate when we perpetuate those stereotypes that are so true.
And I don't think it's so much as
that is so true.
I
hate when we
it's a truth that was
so true.
Right.
It was a truth that's not supposed to be.
Sure, perpetuated. I mean, you're just supposed to think it and know that it's because the stereotype is the truth happening over and over and over, and somebody finally going,
But
hey,
this is
take
always.
notice of this.
But isn't this
and stereotypes are terrible.
This has been huge in sports forever when you think about it. The guy that we see as an African American black people that shows more blackness, we usually embrace him more. So we will embrace Michael Vick more than we will a Donovan McNabb, or we will embrace Allen Iverson more than we embrace Tim Duncan.
Hey, when Tiger was having sex with all them white women and didn't give him no money, that's a brother right there.
That was his blackness.
Yeah, that was all brother right there. He straight up, I sent him his card back. Hey, there you go.
But you let him back in?
I let him back in.
The Chicago game.
I voted for him. Man, you can get back in.
I think Charles is overreacting for these particular comments right here. Like you said, it's nothing for Tiger to say because his reputation, his accolades stand on its own. I mean, McIlroy has so much to try to accomplish to even intimidate Tiger, and he's not going to get it done before Tiger turns 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, good luck to you, dude. And I think it's unnecessary.
And since we're talking about stereotypes, we started to show off talking about the murder rate in Chicago. A lot of that violence is senseless violence based on somebody's ego getting bruised, or you're not going to talk to me a certain way. We don't always have to be quick to confront everybody that says something about us,
this
right?
Is golf.
I mean,
overstepping on your shoe.
And it's not even like Charles Barkley is a professional golf player. Dude, you played basketball. Worry about that. You're a basketball commentator. You don't have to get into everybody else's mix either.
Yeah, but I think, and I love Charles, War Eagle Charles, one of my good friends, but as you're saying, basketball, when I see a guy, we're going to actually bump into each other on the court. We're going to push, shove, those kind of things. Golfers,
not so much.
You might not even see that golfer,
right?
Unless they put you in the same tee time, so it's not like, what are we going to do?
How does he intimidate Tiger? You think you've got a sex addiction? I'll show you sex addiction.
Well, I mean, Tiger kind of shot back because he made mention of his hair. He was like, something.
Whose hair?
I guess that's to
Rory's.
Yeah, in response to Greg Norman's, his words. Tiger said, "Oh, I guess it's because of his hair." Like, alluding to whatever he's doing good, it's because of his hair. It's not because of his golf game. So that was Tiger's way of shooting back.
He was playing on that. McIlroy got a full head, and Tiger has the way back.
Right.
Yeah, something to that.
Because that's why he pulled that hat down.
Right,
it's back.
But
there
it didn't
now.
stick. It wasn't wasn't a good sticking joke. Well, he made a little shot back. He tried.
Yeah, we got to research blackness though. What is having more blackness?
Well, you're not gonna find Wayne Brady.
Let's
or
call
Tiger
Dez
Woods,
Bryant.
none of them up there.
Just slap your mama.
I slap my mama. I keeps it real.
That is real blackness right there.
That's real black.
You
right
slap
there.
your mama. and confess. Yeah, I slapped him.
I slapped her. I did it again.
Tiger, man, keep it cool, baby. Don't let them feel like they can get under your skin.
That's at all. It's golf.
Keep it cool. It is golf.
Because under that skin, you are black, Tiger.
It's a gentleman's game.
It is.
Golf. You know. Ice hockey, a whole different story. We'll be back right after this with more of the Sports Talk Show.
You cast a spell on me, spell on me. You hit me.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
I'm Ed Smart, father of a child who was abducted.
I'm John Walsh. Like Ed, I also know the terror of having a child who was kidnapped. But now we have wonderful technology to aid in this battle.
It's called the Amber Alert. It's an early notification system to the public when every second counts.
Amber Alert is a partnership. We want to thank you, the public, broadcasters, transportation, and law enforcement. Amber Alert really works.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette.
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
And another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
Look around you. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. faces hunger. It's not always easy to see the signs, but in this land of plenty, there are kids who don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Share Our Strength and take the pledge to end childhood hunger here in America by 2015. Learn how at NoKidHungry.org. Their next meal could come from you.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
See, to live is to suffer. To survive, well, that's to find meaning in the suffering.
Hey, yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. Hey, yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. Hey, yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I got to get up.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. And for any of you that know the Sports Jock, 2001, 2002, I rode the DMX till the wheels came off. If you was wondering what I was listening to doing warm-ups in my headphones, DMX used to get you real aggressive, man.
You know.
Yeah. And then he started slapping people in the handicap spot or something, didn't he?
Bad. He stayed in jail like repetitive.
Well, I just want to say, until you had a problem with crack cocaine, you don't know what you're dealing with. Yo,
DMX. Well, Major League Baseball is winding up its 162 games schedule. They have about 10 games left to the season. Some teams have already clinched their division, but it's a hot and heavy race, especially in the American League. And when we want to talk baseball on the Sports Jock Show, we reach out to our LA Dodger scout, Mr. Todd Harris. Todd, are you there?
Oh, yeah. How's it going, Big Wayne?
It's going good, man. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling in.
No problem, sir. Glad to be on today.
Well, last week we had a couple teams wrap up at least their division, and the Cincinnati Reds, the San Francisco Giants. I've went to a couple of Braves games. Before we talk about the wild card races, when did the Nationals become a good team? Was I sleeping?
Yeah, Gay, that's a great point. But to be honest with you, Big Wayne, they actually have some great pitching, and I think that, and obviously that's the key. I think in the National League when you can kind of pitch the way they can. They actually went out and got Gio Gonzalez. I mean, and he actually was from the Oakland A's, and I think he's been the one that's pretty much dominant on their staff. So I think that's why they've been pretty good. But like you said, they kind of came out of nowhere this year to have the success that they've been having this year. Kind of surprising to me as well.
And about 10 days ago, they've first of all, they've made the playoffs. They haven't clinched their division, but they've made the playoffs from what I see.
Yeah.
And but they set their top ace, one of their top aces, down, Strasburg, right, for the season?
Yes, they kind of set him down, and it was kind of predetermined before the season even started because he had just came off Tommy John surgery last year, so he's coming back, and this was his first year back. So they had kind of put him on a pitch limit count an innings count from about 160 to 180, and so he kind of reached that point, and they said, I mean, that's going to be their ace for the next coming up year. So, but I think it was kind of a good move because the next time you tear it, I think it's pretty much your career is pretty much shot. So I think there's a good investment by them doing that and actually shutting him down because I think the Gio Gonzalez guy on their pitching staff is, I think, their best pitcher anyway. But that's just my opinion. So,
and it seems that our Atlanta Braves here, they seem to, unless they have a collapse, they're going to wrap up the first wild card. Could you explain how this new wild card is going to work? I think a lot of people have heard about it. I don't know if everybody understands it, but now they're going to make a second wild card team.
Yes, they are, and the Braves should pretty much at this point kind of wrap up that first wild card slot, and then actually probably St. Louis, from my indication, St. Louis is probably going to wrap up that second playoff spot. And so what that would kind of determine then is those two wild card teams in the National League, which would probably be the Braves and St. Louis, if I had to say right now how they set, they would actually play one game tournament or one game play-in game. And that will be October the 5th, which is 2 weeks probably from now on a Friday. So they will play the one game, and the winner of that game will then go on and either play Washington or Cincinnati at that particular point. And then, like I said, then Washington will probably play Cincinnati or San Francisco and the other team, and that would kind of get you the four teams that you kind of look for during the playoff system regularly.
All right. You're listening to the Sports Jock Show. We're on with L.A. Dodgers scout Todd Harris. Todd, what happened to your Dodgers? That's really kind of been disappointing to me, to tell you the truth. And sometimes I think that first year, that first time you kind of put all of those players together, and which they tried to make a run for. They went and got some big-time free agent guys from Boston. They went and got Hanley Ramirez from down in Miami. And I thought it was some great acquisition. I think it brought some excitement to the Dodgers and the whole organization. I think everybody's still excited about what they've tried to do. But I think you made a point a couple of months ago, actually about 2 months ago, when Rihanna gets a hold of you, I think Kemp has been a whole different beast in the last couple of weeks. I mean, the first month of the season, first 2 months of the season, I mean, he's tearing the ball up. He was the best player, I think, in baseball. Right.
But if you notice over the last 2 months, Rihanna must have put a stranglehold on him because I mean, he can't get out of his way in a lot of situations. I think that's really hurt the Dodgers. Because I think he was pretty much their driving force before they got all of those acquisitions, and then him not being able to hit and not being able to stay on the field and be healthy has kind of really hurt them, I think.
Yeah, you have to watch out for them women. They will.
You heard it strictly from a professional here who knows the sport. I keep telling them stuff like this, Todd. They want to diminish my, my thought patterns on like who you dating, who you rolling with, who your baby mama is. But it is so important to the game. I'm telling you. That's why I sit on this show right now. I'm trying to tell them. I'm so glad you confirmed that.
It's his diet. There's some women, and then there's like Rihanna got an eagle tattooed under her breast. and
Right.
and,
It's his diet. Too much cake.
It's not. It's a lady with wings.
She bathing in holy water and
No, she's
trying
throwing that
different wigs
extra
on.
on you. But the point of the matter is you have to take that in consideration when y'all making y'all side bets. Is all I'm saying.
She said side bets.
Side
Okay.
bets. Side
Well,
bets.
Todd, let's move over to the American.
I got 4 on the under on Rihanna.
Who we dating? You got to find it out too.
Sure.
I heard.
Todd just told you. He confirmed it. That's all I need was confirmation.
It's undefeated, believe me.
It's undefeated. I heard that. Well, Todd, moving over to the American League East, where the Evil Empire sets. Where did the Orioles? I watch sports, Todd. I watch baseball. Where are these teams coming from, and competing? I mean, the Orioles couldn't win 10 years ago.
That's another good point. Burke Showalter, I think their coach, he's a great manager. And he kind of is a no-nonsense kind of guy. And if you notice the last couple of years, Baltimore's had some good players, but pitching, in the East, if you're playing in there with Boston and New York, it's going to be tough to get wins. And I think this year, Adam Jones and some of those guys have really stepped up to another level. And Adam Jones is probably one of the best-kept secrets of baseball. I think he's probably the best center fielder in the game right now as far as hitting, as far as speed, as far as just everything that he brings to the table. And like I said, don't nobody know it because they don't really talk about it because he plays in Baltimore, which hadn't been a good team. Nick Markakis, actually graduate of here at Woodstock, he actually, again, is another driving force behind that team. And I just think they got great players. They got good players. But like I said, when you're playing in the East, it's just going to be tough to get wins. And I think that Buck Scherholz kind of coming there and kind of implementing the strategy and implementing the things that he does. Because he made it a point last year. He told his guys, look, we're not scared of the Yankees. We want to play the Yankees. We want to beat them. And kind of told his pitchers that when they kind of go out and pitch to challenge those guys and pitch them in. And if they hit them, so what? And that's kind of the mentality he's kind of brought to Baltimore, which is a good thing. Just because I think they may end up in the World Series because they're one of the hottest teams coming down the stretch right here.
Wow. Do you think the Yankees can hold them off and win the division?
I think the Yankees will be able to do that, but I think they're going to go. I think Yankees are going to get put out in the first round of the playoffs. That's just kind of what I feel kind of going into it. But I think the Yankees will hold them off for that number one spot. But I think Baltimore will get in as a wild card, and I think do more damage once they do get in the playoffs than the Yankees will.
Real quickly, I asked you about the second wild card earlier. I wanted to know your opinion of it. Did you agree with this new move, or is this just really about money?
Obviously, I think the American dollar kind of still goes a long way, and I do think it's about money. But for guys like yourself, I think you made a comment a couple of times that it's kind of brought a little more interest to baseball. I think it's kind of kept teams, the doormat teams that kind of was sitting around the 500 mark, kind of kept their fans coming, kind of kept baseball a little more exciting because if you look at the last couple of World Series, the team that's the hottest, and typically that's going to be a wild card team because they're fighting to get in the playoffs. So once they get in, they typically have been winning the World Series, like the Cardinals, for example, last year, and the Giants 2 years ago. Those were the last two teams in the playoffs. The Cardinals were literally the Braves. If the Braves just win one game out of the last 10 games, they don't get in the playoffs, and they end up winning the World Series. So, to me, I think that was kind of setting it apart to say, look, when these teams do get in, they can do some damage. So it's a good idea to let them kind of keep playing it out and keep the season interesting for this particular long time. So I think it's been really good for baseball.
Well, Todd, thank you for calling in, and we'll catch up with you in the weeks to come. The season wrapping up, about 10 games to go. Todd Harris, L.A. Dodger scout. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show right after this.
Can't wait to blow my candles out. He want that.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
In times like these, strangers at your door should be treated cautiously, but unwelcome strangers in your home can be your worst nightmare. Home invasion is a form of armed robbery where criminals break into homes through unlocked or open doors and windows. They even trick people into opening their doors to confront victims face to face. They can be after money and valuables, threaten personal assault, or take members of the family captive. But you can be proactive against these disturbing attacks. Learn how to protect yourself against home invasions. Never open the door to strangers. Secure your home with high-security locks and quality door and window hardware. Consider a home security system and even a dog. It's also a good idea to devise an action plan for your family in case intruders ever do enter your home. To learn more about how to keep your home safe from intruders, visit ncpc.org. That's ncpc.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
When crime prevention is your life, your days don't stay quiet for long. What did I tell you? My name? McGruff the Crime Dog. I wear a trench coat.
McGruff, I need help.
That was a concerned citizen. And boy, did she sound concerned.
I'm very concerned.
What did I tell you?
Someone took out a loan in my name. They're pretending to be me and spending my money. I can't understand.
It's called
how
identity theft, and it's growing fast. Safeguard your personal information, like your Social Security, credit card, or bank account numbers. On the phone, online, even around the house, because half of identity theft occurs by someone you think you know. Learn more from the National Crime Prevention Council at ncpc.org. Take it from McGruff. Keep your identity to yourself and take a bite out of crime.
A message from this station, the U.S. Department of Justice, Crime Prevention Coalition of America, and the National Crime Prevention Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy, sitting here with my two co-hosts,